When Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior exchanged fixed glares and jiggly pecs inside the 1990 Royal Rumble match, Vince McMahon knew he was going to get his wish to fill Toronto's brand new Sky Dome. It would be the first hero versus hero main event in Mania history and the first to pit champion versus champion. Hogan's WWF belt against Warrior's Intercontinental Gold, with a stipulation fitting the moniker of the Ultimate Challenge. As far as one-match shows go, WrestleMania 6 remains one of the most fun events in WWE history, thanks to a molten hot crowd and a roster that could deliver even in compressed circumstances. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 fascinating facts about WrestleMania 6. Number 10, Toronto was chosen due to its closed-circuit numbers. With more and more homes in the US equipped with the technology to receive pay-per-view, closed-circuit viewing stateside increasingly tapered off. In Canada, it was a different story. America's neighbor to the north didn't get widespread pay-per-view access until about 1991-1992, so if a Canadian fan wanted to catch a wrestling pay-per-view or a boxing one, it was off to a venue offering a closed-circuit broadcast. WrestleMania 5 in 1989 did big business in Toronto, as their closed-circuit showing drew $200,000 in revenue, so smelling money like a piglet smells truffles, Vinny skipped to Hogtown. Number 9, Toronto newspapers claim Ric Flair was at the show. The Nature Boy, despite being NWA champion in early 1990, was in something of an ugly contract situation with the organization, and a title switch to Lex Luger appeared to be imminent. In the end, the whole issue was smoothed over, and Flair remained champion until July, at which time he dropped the gold to Sting. Reality contradicts reports from several Toronto-based news outlets, however, who claim that Ric Flair was at WrestleMania 6 as a guest of McMahon's, and that he would soon be on board with the company, which must have been news to Ric Flair, who worked a double shot in North Carolina that day. Number 8, it was Andre the Giant's last televised match in WWE. At 43 and long since past his physical peak, Andre was near the end of the line as a performer. His last televised match in the company took place in the second match of WrestleMania 6, where he and Haku dropped the tag team championships to Demolition. Aside from a couple of untelevised matches on international tours here and there over the following year, Andre never wrestled for the company again. It's fitting that his WWE curtain call saw him leave as a beloved hero after tiring of Bobby Heenan's verbal abuse. Hearing Andre receive a standing ovation as he left on a motorized ring car is one of the most underrated moments in WWE history, a moment of appreciation for an undoubted icon. R.I.P., you giant legend. Number 7, 4 matches from the show feature all deceased wrestlers. Andre is sadly one of the 15 in-ring performers from the pay-per-view card that is deceased as of now. Considering there are only 36 wrestlers on the show, it's even sadder that 42% of the participating wrestlers are gone. When the Ultimate Warrior died in 2014, it was noted that he was the 12th, putting the total at 1/3 lost, with Dusty Rhodes, Roddy Piper, and Jimmy Snuka eventually joining him. Of the 14 matches on the card, 4 of them entirely feature wrestlers no longer with us. Earthquake vs. Hercules, Piper vs. Bad News Brown, Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire, both dead, versus Randy Savage and Sensational Sherry, both dead, and Jimmy Snuka versus Rick Rude. Number 6, it featured Mr. Perfect's first nationally televised loss. House shows don't count, the traditional way of thinking goes. Mr. Perfect was undefeated on WWF television for more than a year and a half, accurately living up to his moniker. That's why his loss to Beefcake at WrestleMania 6 was a huge deal, with the commentary team surprised that even an upper mid-carder like the Barber could get one over on Perfect. In actuality, Perfect not only lost a number of house show bouts to the likes of Hogan, Warrior, and even Jim Duggan for some time, he'd also lost a Madison Square Garden match to Warrior 13 days before WrestleMania, a match that aired exclusively in the New York market. Still, deferring to the story WWF wanted to tell, Beefcake was a street conqueror in his own right. Number 5, the genius didn't know he'd be getting a haircut. A common sight of late 80s WWF was Brutus Beefcake shearing the locks off some lifeless jobber, or him clipping a souvenir from the scalp of some name wrestler, a rep that started 3 years earlier when he hairdressed Adrian Adonis at Mania 3. He'd previously given Lanny the Genius Poffo a small trim at the 1990 Royal Rumble, and Genius had more coming. He just didn't know it. Per Beefcake's recollection, he was told by Pat Patterson to shave Poffo's head following his match with Perfect, but Poffo was never told, hence Genius's desperate escape attempts were quite legitimate. Beefcake also adds that Randy Savage, the Genius's older brother, tried to pick a fight backstage with the Barber over the situation, but thankfully cooler heads prevailed. Number 4, Roddy Piper was ribbed, and ribbed hard. Piper's questionable paint job was apparently a misguided attempt to, as his 2016 biography Rowdy tells it, champion all people regardless of colour. Instead, the half-and-half appearance came off as a semi-committed Al Jolson tribute instead of anything profound. After the brawl with Bad News Brown failed to go over well, Piper's night only got worse. See, Piper's paint would only come off when scrubbed by a blend of solvents. Unbeknownst to Piper, Andre the Giant and Arnold Scarland had thrown the solution away as a prank and replaced it with water. Not only could Piper not get the paint off, but he ended up going through the airport the next day half black. Number 3, all 4 April 1st WrestleManias have had face versus face main events. Coincidence? Yeah, probably. WrestleMania 6 happened to be the first April Fool's Day WrestleMania, and there have been 3 since then. Each one has ended with a face versus face battle. In 2001, WrestleMania X7 concluded with The Rock versus Steve Austin, although Austin did turn heel in the closing 6 minutes. Shut up. 6 years later, WrestleMania 23 was headlined by John Cena and Shawn Michaels for the WWE Championship. The most recent example was at WrestleMania 28, where John Cena and The Rock had a historic once-in-a-lifetime clash. Now, April 1st falls on a Sunday next year, but they probably can't have WrestleMania due to Easter falling on that date. However, there's still a chance that on April 1st, 2035, we'll see WrestleMania 51 end with a babyface battling babyface, pitting heroic Declan McMahon against 50-year-old Roman Reigns, who still won't have turned heel. Number 2, Hogan vs. Zeus was once considered as the main event. Oh Christ. After No Holds Barred declared war on cinemas and taste, McMahon somehow got it into his head that Zeus needed to wrestle. The human wrecking machine was well disguised in tag team matches where Randy Savage could do most of the work, but a singles bout to close out WrestleMania? No sir. That is nonsense. Fortunately, McMahon came to his senses by the fall of 1989 and relegated the Hogan-Zeus blow-off to a movie/match pay-per-view combo in December of that year. There, Hogan pinned Zeus in a tag team cage match with 3 leg drops, finishing the film-based feud long before WrestleMania 6. And number 1, Hogan reportedly openly claimed that Warrior would fail as champion. So Hogan wasn't thrilled with the prospect of laying down clean for Warrior, but at least he did it. I mean, just about. He got his shoulder up immediately after the 3 count, the bastard. Despite doing the honors, Hogan still felt he was the more valuable headliner. Bret Hart recalls a moment after the show where Hogan reportedly told him, "You watch, Warrior will fail and Vince will be calling me, begging me to come back." Unfortunately, yeah, that's pretty much what happened, as Warrior didn't draw on top as Vince hoped, and he made Hogan champ once more a year later. As for Warrior, he was back to being a notch below the Hulkster. I guess Hogan knows best. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.
Monday, March 6th, live from Newcastle, and free on YouTube. Drew Galloway will defend his WCPW championship against the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay. And the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, will defend his WCPW Internet Championship. WCPW proudly presents Exit Wounds. Monday, March 6th, 7:30, 2:30 Eastern. Tickets still available at WC.PW.